Hello students, today we are going to discuss communications and organization structure. In this lecture we are going to discuss form of communication, formal communication, grapevine communication, informal communication, barriers to communication, principle of effective communication, gateways to effective communication, 7 C's of communication. Forms of communication. Communication is divided into external and internal communication. We already in the previous class discussed that the communication which happens within an organization, we call it internal communication. Within the employees, or subordinate communicates with their superiors, and superior communicates with their counterparts or the same position in an organization. That is what we call the internal communication. External communication, when an organization communicates with other stakeholders, say for example client, customers, dealer, distributors, media and general public. That is what we call an external communication. External communication are those communication which are occurring outside of an organization, like communicating with the other companies, with the government, general public, etc. Internal communication are those which are inside an organization. Internal communication are further divided into two parts: formal or official and informal. We are talking about internal communication, which is divided between two categories. First is a formal communication, other one is informal communication. Formal communication is also known as official communication. Formal communication flows along prescribed channels which all members desirous of communicating with one another are obliged to follow. You might have understand this. You may have understood. Formal communication flows along prescribed channels which are prescribed, which everyone expect and communicating through that channel, and one must oblige to follow this thing. And another type of communication is informal communication. While having a talk, while having a conversation, while having a informal conversation, they discuss some problems, some information, they share some information. We call it informal communication. Along with the formal communication, formal channels of communication, every organization and equally effective channels of communication, that is informal channel, often called grapevine, because it runs all directions. We know that sometimes what happen, organization, there is a structure of organization that sometimes information or instructions comes from superior authorities in an organization, sometimes from the lower authority communicate with the higher authority. But sometimes what happen, in all direction communication happen, horizontal, vertical and diagonal. It flows around the water cooler, down hallways, through the lunch rooms, and whereas people get together in group, and then this communication happen. Formal communication advantages. What are the advantages to the formal communication? It passes through the lines and authority. Let me check whether it is streaming feasibly or not, and thereafter we will continue with this lecture. I am hoping that it could be streaming feasibly. It passes through line and authority, and consequently ensures the maintenance of authority as well as accountability of the executive in charge. It helps to develop the intimate relations between immediate boss and his subordinate. It keeps the uniformity in the dissemination of information. It flows systematically and information is a trustworthy. Source of information is known, which create the harmony among the employees. We have talked about 5 advantages of formal communication. Passes through lines and authority. Consequently, ensure the maintenance of authority as well as accountability of executive in charge. The communication which is accountable. It helps to develop the intimate relationship. This communication which helps to develop the intimate or close relationship between immediate boss and his subordinate. Kind of a cordial communications happens, and thereby the their attachment grows or develops. Uniformity in the dissemination of information. It flows systematically and information is a trustworthy. Source of information is known, which create the harmony. Communication on the basis of a regulation, formal, vertical, downward, upward, horizontal, and consensus. Informal communication, single chain, star chain, cluster, probability. On the basis of expression, verbal and non-verbal, oral communication and written communication, non-verbal, body language, paralanguage, sign and symbols. Disadvantages: increases the workload of various managers as communication is to be transmitted through them, widens the communication gap between the executives and employees as the lower level. It is a time consuming because it follows the scalar chain of authority and communication flows from one authority level to another. Downward communication. Downward communication, when the communication flows from the higher level to the lower level, it is called the downward communication. Order, individual instruction, policy statement, circular, etc. falls into the downward communication. Benefits: what are the benefits and problems of this communication? First of all, we will discuss the benefits of downward communication. Helps to explain the subordinates, the organizational plans, policies, program and procedures, work methodology, etc. necessary information for performing the job. Second, helps to convey to subordinates the expectations of management from them. Third, act as a means to control the activities of the subordinate with effective feedback. And fourth, the provide the motivation to the subordinates. What are the problems to it? First, we have seen that what helps to explain the subordinate, the organizational plan. Superior authority explain their plan, or they let the subordinate know the organizational plan, what are the policy program they have made for their organization, what are the goals of organization, how they are going to achieve that goal, what are the procedure to attain the goal or achieve the goal, what kind of working methodology are they going to adopt, and necessary what are the necessary information for performing their job. That is, they convey from higher authority to the lower authority, higher to superior to subordinate. Then helps to convey the subordinate expectation. What are the expectation of management or the authority from the lower level authority, and expectations of management from them. That is also conveyed through downward communication. Act as a means to control the activities of subordinates with the active feedback. Means to control the activities of subordinate with active feedback and provide the motivation to the subordinate. In order to let the work carry out feasibly, it needs motivations, and management needs to motivate their subordinates so that they can work with their efficiency and their competencies. What are the problems to downward communication? First problem is that sometimes the message may be distorted. What happened? We have seen that what are the barriers to communication? Distortions. Sometimes message may be distorted in the transmission from one level to another. from one person to another person communication, when the communication happen, there are chances that it may be distorted, or the communication which is sent, communication, the message which is sent from one person to another person, it leads to if a particular authority is not present on the time of passing information, it may lead to delay in transmission of the message. What the particular authority is not present, or if he is absent on the time of the at the time of the passing the information, it leads to delay the transmissions of the message. And sometimes when the workload is unevenly distributed, sometimes workload is distributed in such a way that some people have the lot of workload and other people have optimal workload, and some other people have minimum or minimal workload. Then the employees, it creates overload and unload of the work, which causes dissatisfactions among the employees. That is a problems of the downward communication. How to make it effective? Manager should be adequately informed. Manager should be clear about how much to communicate. Some authority should delegate the lower level to shorten the lines of communication. Information should be passed on the correct person. Upward communication. The communication flows the message from subordinate to superiors. It is a reverse of the downward communications, or communication flows from lower level to upper level. Benefits: provides feedback to superiors. Introductions of new schemes without unduly opposition from the employees, helps in to promote the harmony between the management and the employees. Problem and grievances are redressed. Problem: employees fear that their criticism may be interpreted as a sign of their personal weakness. Second, bypass the superiors, feel insulted, which leads differences between the relationship of the superiors and employees. Methods and channels of upward communication: subordinates tell their problems and through the discussion find out the solutions of the particular problem with the help of superiors. If the employee having any complaint and suggestions about the working environment, policy, procedure, peer groups, then they write the management without giving the identifications of themselves and drop into the box, and the manager frequently checks these grip box and find out the solution of the problem. It is a very effective method of upward communication. Organizations celebrates their anniversary, arrange sports meets for their employees, doing some kind of social welfare activities like plantation, providing food for flood affected areas, etc. are the modes of social gathering where the superiors and subordinates are at the same platform and share their emotions, feelings and thoughts more comfortably. It is opposite to grip box system. Here identifications of the employees is not hidden. Any employee can write directly to the higher level about the problem which he or she had. And fifth, it emphasizes in the psychological aspect of human being. A superior act as a counselor and he counsels the problem facing employees. Counseling does not mean the treating only the problem facing employees, but also for the better prospect or the how employees do better in their workplace. We have seen the methods or channels of upward communication. Upward communication: subordinates tell their problem and find the solutions of particular problem with the help of the superiors. And if the employees having any complaints or suggestions about the working environment, policy, procedures, peer groups, or anything, any problem in that organization, then they write to the management without giving the identifications of themselves, weighs and drops into the box, and management frequently checks that these grip boxes finds out the solutions of the problem, whatever they have raised, whatever the problem they have posed, they have expressed, they try to find out the solutions of this. And third, it is effective method of upward communication. Organization celebrates their anniversary, arranges sports meets, and for their employees doing some kind of social welfare activities like plantation, providing foods, or the flood affected areas, etc. And the modes of social gathering where the superiors and subordinates are at the same platforms and share their emotions, feelings, and thoughts more comfortably. In such a social gathering, when the one arranges such kind of events in an organization where everyone feel comfortable, convenient, and they express each and every problems of theirs to their superiors. So such kind of communication, when such kind of events are arranged, they are not feeling that they are alienated from that organization, and that is why through such kind of activities, plantation activities, giving arms to people who are flood affected or facing some kind of problems in their life, emotion, feeling, and thoughts are expressed more comfortably in such situations. Fourth, it is just an opposite grip box system. Here, identification of employees is not hidden. Sometimes in earlier, we seen that the identifications of the employees are hidden so that they can express themselves without any kind of hesitation. Fourth, it is opposite grip box system. Here, identification of the employees is not hidden. It emphasizes the psychological aspect of human being, superior and counselor. They are not only advise or counsel on the problem which employees are facing, but they also create such kind of a environment in an organization so that every employee can work with full of their efficiencies and competencies, and they can utilize all of their power because they are mentally comfortable, mentally convenient, because no burden is given on them, and also some kind of problems of their lives is also solved. Superior should be take initiative to get close to the subordinate staff. How to make effective? So keeping the line of communication short as much as possible. Time redress of grievance. Horizontal lateral communication. We were talking about the upward communication from the employees, and now how to make it effective. Superior should be take initiative to get close to the subordinates. Then the horizontal lateral communication. The communication flows between the persons at the same hierarchy level, either of the same or other department or divisions of organization, legal, marketing, account, administration, customers, sales, all this horizontal communication. This marketing, sales, accountant, customers, administration, this is horizontal or lateral communication. It develops mutual trust and confidence amongst employees of same level, which help in the maintaining or promote understanding between the similar position holders of different departments. If the employees of the similar position communicate to each other for a given task, it will create or develop the feeling of cooperation, coordination among various departments. Problems, sometimes it creates rivalries among employees for various departments. Proximity shows the liking and disliking of employees who is nearby another in a respect of space. Like in any organization, HR department and marketing developments are near to each other than the manufacturing department. So proximity exists between HR and marketing department, and they favor each other as compared to the manufacturing department. Biasing shows the likings and dislikings of an employees due to religion, caste, family background, personality, etc. Methods of horizontal face-to-face discussions, telephonic conversation, individual communicate directly to another, face-to-face communication, minimize the problem of misinterpretations and quick feedback makes the communication more effective. Telephonic conversation, when the employees are busy with their work or they are seated far from each other, then telephonic conversations become more relevant against face communication. It saves time, but sometimes congestions or disturbances and any other obstacle create delays or distort the message. Periodical meetings means meeting between employees on weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually basis when all the members are assembled and discuss on the predetermined issues. Memorandum is a written form of the communication which transmit between the different departments in the same organization. It is also called inter-college letter. Consensus, when a number of people, irrespective of their status, sit down and confer with one another to arrive at the decisions accepted to all. It is called the consensus. The format of these communication is predetermined and cannot be altered. Consensus involve consultation. Chief executive takes up the problems and analyze it to understand, collect the additional facts and information, tries to find out the various means to solve it, find alternatives. He contacts the members individually and invites them to a meeting. Problem is spelled out to the member. It is carefully listened all members. You arrived at a solution. Advantages: decisions are taken after consultation among various members. Decisions are taken after consulting with various members. They find it easy to accept them. It promotes the harmony among the members of the group. If any conflict and split exists between the members, and it will carefully find out and try to solve it. Member is forced to subscribe to a view he doesn't hold. Sometimes it may be project the false image of management because members thinks that the management may not able to handle their problem efficiently. Grapevine information communication. Form of the grapevine communication: single chain. Single chain means A tells about something to B who tells it to C, and so on it goes down the line. This type of communication flows from one person to another person through single chain, or communication flows one by one. When A tells something to B, B who tells to C, and so on. One interesting facts come out from this type of communication: when one person passes certain information to another and they treat the message as confidential and secret, which further communicated by another with the same feeling and confidentiality and secrecy. Single chain. Star chain. In this type of chain, person speak out and tells everyone the information he/she has obtained. This chain is often used when the information or the message regarding an interesting but not job related nature is being conveyed. Sometimes it is called the gossip chain. Cluster chain. In this type of chain, A tells something to a few selected individuals who again inform a few selected individuals, and the information flows in similar manner or the other individual. Probability chain. Probability chain is a random process in which a transmissions of the information to other in accordance with the laws of probability, and then these tell things still others in similar manner. The chain may also be called the random. Merits, demerits. Verbal communication, oral communication. Oral communication is a communication where the message or the information is exchanged by the spoken words. It can be done by both face to face and also through mechanical devices. For more detail, please refer to Uh, Written communication. Written communication is the communication where message or information exchanges by written words, letter, telegraph, fax, emails are example of written communication. Written communication guarantees that everyone concerned has the same information. It provides the long-lasting records of communication for future. Written instructions are essential when the action called for is crucial and complex. To be to be eventual, written communication should be understandable, brief, truthful, and comprehensive. So for it, non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is usually understood as the process of communication through sending and receiving wordless messages. Such messages can be communicated through the gesture, body language and posture, facial expressions, and eyes contact. Object communications such as clothing, hairstyles, and even the architecture, symbols and infographics. Speech may also contain non-verbal elements known as a paralanguage, including voice quality, emotions, speaking style, as well as a prosodic features such as rhythm, intonation, stress. Likewise, written text have non-verbal elements such as handwriting style, spatial arrangement of words, use of emotions, more detail. Barriers to communication. Wrong choice of medium. Each communication must be transmitted through the appropriate medium. An unsuitable medium is one of the biggest barrier to communication. Example, when a communication takes place in a big organization, department and divisions are far from one another. If any manager wants to communicate with the other for confidential matters, then they opt written communication as compared to the mediums of communication. So it is requires that medium should be accurate, and if a wrong or unsuitable medium is selected, then it leads to the biggest barrier to communication. Physical barrier. Noise. In fact, oral communication is rendered difficult by the loud noise of machines. Electronic noise interferes in communication by telephone or loud speaker system. The word noise is also used to refer to the all kind of physical interference like the illegible handwritings, bad photocopies, etc. Time and distance, congestion, telephone and network facilities, people working in a different shift, faulty seating arrangement in hall. Semantic barrier. In interpretation of the words, the person interprets the same words in a different meanings, and this will cause a barrier between the communicators. Murphy's and Peck's, in their book Effective Business Communication, mention the little word run has 71 meanings as a verb, 35 as noun, and 4 more an adjective. Bypassed instruction. Bypass is said to have occurred if the sender and the receiver of the message attributes different meaning to the same words and use different words for the same meaning. Take it to be our stockroom and burn it. In official language, burn it means to make more copies of the same document. In official, take it to our stockroom and burn it. Burn it meaning he was burning midnight oil. Denotations and connotation. Words have two types of meanings, denotative and connotative. Denotative, the literal meanings of words is called the denotative meaning. It must inform the name's object without indicating any positive or negative. Connotative, it always qualitative judgment and personal reaction like honest, cheap, sincere, and etc. Example, he gave us cheap material. At this shop they sell things cheap. First one is a favorable connotation and second one is unfavorable. To avoid this problem, by past instructions and connotative meanings of words, the following can be used. Prefer words which are familiar to the receiver. If the words are unfamiliar to the receivers, we should make meaning clear and very first we use it. We should choose words with a positive rather than negative connotation. Attitudes and opinions. The information which agrees with opinions and attributes of individual is favorable for the particular individual. What are socio-psychological barrier, attitudes and opinion? Second, emotions. Third, closed mind, status consciousness, faulty transmission, socio-psychological barrier. The information which agrees with the opinions and attributes of individual is favorable for that particular individual. Emotion, it plays an important role in the fact of communication. If a sender is a perplexed, worried, excited, afraid, nervous, then he will not be able to organize his message properly. Closed mind. A person with a closed mind is a very difficult to communicate with. We hold our opinion so rigidly that we just refuse to listen. Status consciousness. We are over conscious of our lower and higher rank and do not express ourselves candidly. The source of information, we react according accordingly to the trust we repose in the source. From this, the communication originates. Faulty transmission, most of the part of the message is lost in transmission. In oral communications, sometimes in order and 30s of the information is lost in transmission. Poor retention. Oral messages particularly are lost due to the human being retention's ability. Employees retain only about 50%. Wrong choice of mediums, physical noise, time, distance, semantic interpretation, by passing denotations and connotations, socio-psychological attitudes and opinion, emotional, closed mind, status consciousness, source of information, faulty transmission, poor retentions. Principle of effective communication. What are the principles of effective communication? It is very difficult to suggest a comprehensive list of the vital features of a system of communication. It will depends on the specific needs of situation. The following guidelines or principle may be followed to achieve effective communication. First, the clarity of message. The basic principle of communication is clarity. The message must be clear as possible. No vagueness should be creeps into it. The message can be conveyed properly only if it is clearly formulated in the minds of both the sender and the receiver. The speed. Second thing is the speed. The good system of communication must ensure the speedy transmission of the message and the time taken to transmit the message to its destinations, and the speeds of the communication system should be considered on the basis of the urgency of communicating the message. If the message not delivers at times, it creates the problem for organization. two-way process. Communication is a two-way process that provides feedback to the senders from the receiver. Feedbacks refer to the transmissions of the information concerning the effect of any act of communication. Reliability. The communication starts on the basis of belief. This atmosphere is built by the performance on the part of the expert. The receiver must be confidence in the senders, and he must have the high regards for the source competence on the subject. Completeness. Every communication must be complete as adequate. Incomplete messages create the misunderstanding, keeps the reason guessing, and delays action. The message must be meaningful for the receivers, and he must be compatible with his value system. For him, in the general, people select those items and information for promises, and the greatest rewards and content determines the response of audience. Accuracy. The communication medium should ensure the accuracy in the transmission of messages. Whatever medium chooses by a sender should be accurate for the particular kind of information which they want to send. Capabilities. Communication must take into account the capabilities of audience. Communications are most effective when they require the least effort on the part of recipients. This includes the factors like reading abilities and receiver knowledge. Economy. The communication system should be as much economical as possible, but efficiencies of the system should not be sacrificed to achieve economy. Secrecy. The communication system should ensure the secrecy, and there should no leakage of information. It becomes more essential when the messages are confidential nature. Gateways of effective communication. Two-way channel. What is mean by the two-way channel? Two parties are involved, namely sender and the transmitters and the receivers and the receiver of the message. An effective communication demands two-way communication. It should be vertical, downward or upward. Therefore, the message should be thus not only to inform, instruct and order, but should also be prepared to listen, understand and interpret. Clarity of message. Not only inform, instruct and order, but also to prepare to listen, understand and interpret. Clarity of message. Clarity of message, ideas, opinions in the mind of communicator should be clear before the communicating. Accordingly to Knus the Donnells, communication passes clarity when it is expressed in a language and transmitted in a way that can be comprehended by the receiver. Mutual trust. A communication system may be considered excellent when mutual trust or understanding exists between the sender and the receiver of the message. Existence of healthy interpersonal relations between the seniors and their subordinates is also an indicator of an adequate system of communication in any department or organization. Timely message. Considerable attention should be given to the timeliness of the communication. All information is worse than none at all. Consistency of message. Consistency can be achieved if the communicator keeps in his mind the objective, policies and programs of the enterprise. It should not be conflicting with the previous communication, otherwise it would create the confusion and anarchy in the organization. Good relationship. Mode of communication should be chosen in such a manner that it does not hurt the feelings of the receiver. It should create the proper understanding in their minds of the receiver, which leads to maintain the good relationship among the receiver and the sender. Feedback provides proper understanding of the message to the receiver. It helpful in making the two-way communication process. The sender must try to ascertain whether or not receiver properly understand the message. Flexibility, the communication system should be flexible enough to adjust to the changing requirements. It should absorb new techniques of communication with the little resistance. 7 C's of communication. Clarity of thought. It comes from the careful considerations of the objective, content, and medium of communication. Clarity of expression. Use simple words, easy to understand words. Avoid them, use them. Compensate, pay. Facilitate, help. Utilize, use. Use single word for long phrases. At all times, always. For the purpose of, for. Previous to, before. On account of, because. The verb for noun, it brings the verb for nouns, it brings about simplicity and clarity. Difficult, using verbs. Simple. Come to conclusion, conclude. Make a decisions, decide. Submit a proposal, propose. May take into consideration, consider. Avoid double entry. Actual fact, facts. End result, result. Period of 1 week, 1 week. Previous experience, experience. Avoid ambiguity. If your message can mean more than one thing, it is ambiguous. Faulty punctuation causes the ambiguity. Go slow, work in progress. Go slow, work in progress. Use short sentences. Use one sentence to express only one idea. If the sentence runs beyond 30 words, it is better to break it into 2 sentences. Completeness. While answering the letter of the communication with one other, make it sure that you have answered the all question. Checking for the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why. Completeness. Conclude only the relevant fact. Conciseness. Include only the relevant fact. Avoid repetition. Organize your message well. Consideration. Adopt your attitude. We attitude, you attitude. I want to express my sincere thanks for the good word. Thank you for your kind words. Your attitude. Avoid gender bias. Chairman, policeman, chairperson, police sir, madam. Courtesy. In. In business, we must create the friendliness with all those to whom we write. Friendliness is the inseparable from courtesy. Answer the letters promptly. Omit irritating expression. You neglected, you're irresponsible, you are unaware. Apologize sincerely for an omission, thanks enormously for a favor. Correctness, give correct facts. Send your message at the correct time. Send your message in a correct style. Concreteness. Always use specific facts and figures. Message should be definite and vivid. Avoid exaggeration. 7 C's of oral communication. Clear, concise, complete, correct, concrete, courtesy, and candid. When the speaker chooses a candid approach, chooses, it means that their message should be straight, open, frank, outspoken, but not hurting particular individual. Then courtesy. Courtesy involves your attitude. Use polite word for oral communication. Tries to avoid irritating expressions. Sincerely apologize for any mistake. Do not use any discriminatory expression. which are related to the individual people, race, ethics, origins, physical appearance, etc. अशा पद्धतीने आपण हा चॅप्टर पूर्ण केलेला आहे. अपेक्षा आहे की हे चॅप्टर तुम्हाला चांगल्या पद्धतीने समजलं असेल. तुमच्या ज्या काही क्वेरीज असेल, क्वेश्चन्स असेल, ते तुम्ही इथे मांडू शकता. पण वॉट एव्हर वी हॅव सीन इन इंग्लिश, that is at the end I forgot to use English words. If you have any queries, doubt or concern, you may write in comment box. Also let me know how you think. Though it is the first lecture where I have just read out everything, that whatever was written, I did not use my intellect, and I think that using intellect is a good thing. Using the visual aid, audio visual aid is a good thing, but still you can ask questions. I will use another method in the next lecture. Stay tuned with me. Every day this channel gives and goes on live and express the thoughts on varieties of topic, from literature, from communication skill, grammars and what not. It is about the essays, mannerism, soft skill, communication skill, on all that. Thank you